Something changed about your Social Security payment in 2026. Not the amount. Not the date. Something deeper than that. Something about how it works, how it is protected, and what happens if anything goes wrong with the account it goes into. And the question that most seniors who find out about these changes ask first is always the same. Why didn't anyone tell me? The answer is uncomfortable but accurate. The Social Security Administration did notify the public. They published updates on their website. They filed notices in the Federal Register. They sent letters to some, not all, of the affected beneficiaries. But according to the Center on Budget and Policy Priorities, one of the most significant policy changes affecting tens of millions of elderly Social Security recipients was announced through a technical notice in the Federal Register with less than 2 weeks of advance warning before it took effect. Not a letter to every beneficiary. Not a phone call. Not a news segment that interrupted normal programming to make sure every retired American understood what was about to change about the money they depend on every single month. A Federal Register notice. 2 weeks before it happened. If you did not know your Social Security deposit changed in 2026, you are not alone. And what changed matters enough that understanding it right now, before you encounter any of it unexpectedly, is worth every minute of this video. To understand why 2026 is different from every previous year most seniors have been receiving Social Security, you need to understand what the program looked like 1 year ago, and how quickly 3 separate changes arrived in a very short window of time. 1 year ago, if you needed to change the bank account your Social Security payment went into, you could pick up your phone, call 1-800-772-1213, speak to a representative, and have your banking information updated. It was secure enough. It had been working for decades. And for the roughly half of Social Security recipients who are not comfortable with online account management, seniors without reliable internet, seniors without smartphones, seniors who have simply never needed to engage with the SSA digitally, it was the only realistic option. 1 year ago, if you preferred to receive your Social Security as a paper check through the mail, you could. Millions of seniors did. It was slower than direct deposit, less secure in some ways, but it was familiar and it worked and nobody was telling you it had to change. 1 year ago, if you submitted a banking change to the SSA, it took up to 30 days to take effect. Your next payment went to the old account. The month after, it went to the new one. Slow, but it gave you time to catch an error before it mattered. All 3 of those things are gone now. Not being phased out. Not being gradually replaced. Gone. And for seniors who discover that any of these familiar processes no longer exist at the moment they need them, standing at a bank counter trying to explain why their payment went to an old account, or calling the SSA to update their banking information and being told that phone option is no longer available, the experience is disorienting in a way that goes beyond inconvenience. The first and most impactful change involves direct deposit updates, and it happened with a kind of abruptness that most federal agencies try to avoid when changing a process that 70 million Americans depend on. In April 2025, the Social Security Administration stopped allowing beneficiaries to change their direct deposit bank account information by phone. This was not a gradual transition. According to the Center on Budget and Policy Priorities' detailed May 2025 analysis, the SSA abruptly ended phone-based direct deposit changes without meaningful advance notice to the beneficiaries it would most affect. The stated reason was fraud prevention. Direct deposit fraud through phone-based impersonation had been identified as a vulnerability. The solution was to require a higher standard of identity verification before processing any banking change. That higher standard now means one of 2 things. Either you complete a multi-factor, multi-step online verification process through your My Social Security account at ssa.gov, a process that requires internet access, a compatible device, a working email address, and a phone number capable of receiving verification codes, or you travel in person to your nearest Social Security field office and verify your identity face-to-face with an SSA representative. For the roughly half of Social Security recipients who are comfortable with digital account management and have a working My Social Security account already set up, this change is manageable. It adds steps to a process that used to be a phone call, but it is workable. For the other half, it is genuinely problematic. The Center on Budget and Policy Priorities found that Social Security's own estimates acknowledge that half of the people they have traditionally served by phone for direct deposit changes will not be able to successfully complete the new online requirements. Many seniors lack reliable internet access. Many do not own devices capable of running the verification process. Many have never created a My Social Security online account and find the setup process, which itself requires identity verification, too complicated to navigate without in-person help. The only alternative for those seniors is a field office visit. And the center's analysis identified that 6 million Americans live more than a 45-mile trip from their closest Social Security office. For seniors in rural communities, for seniors with mobility limitations, for seniors who no longer drive and whose transportation options are limited, a field office visit is not a simple errand. It may require arranging transportation days in advance, taking a full day, and dealing with wait times that have grown significantly as SSA staffing has been reduced. The practical implications for your specific situation depend on one question. Is the banking information currently on file with the SSA accurate, up to date, and connected to an account you intend to keep active? If the answer is yes, your payment will continue without disruption under the new system. If the answer is no, or if you are not certain, the time to address it is now, before an emergency forces you to navigate the new verification process under time pressure. Log into ssa.gov, access your My Social Security account, and verify the routing number and account number shown in your payment settings. If they are correct, you have confirmed the situation and can move forward with confidence. If they need to be changed, or if you do not yet have a My Social Security account, beginning that process now, while there is no urgency, is significantly easier than trying to complete it in the week before your rent is due and your payment went to a closed account. The second change is the one that will eventually affect every single person receiving any federal benefit, and that is already creating payment disruptions for seniors who were never clearly told it was coming. Paper checks are being permanently eliminated from the federal benefits system. Executive Order 14247, signed in 2025 entitled Modernizing Payments to and from America's Bank Account, mandates that all federal benefit payments, including Social Security, SSI, and VA benefits, be made electronically. The transition deadline embedded in the order and in subsequent federal law was September 30, 2025. According to the SSA's own official blog post published in June 2026, Social Security plans to complete the full transition to electronic payments for all remaining beneficiaries this year. That means seniors who are still receiving paper checks are in the final phase of a transition that the federal government considers complete, and that the SSA is actively working to finish before the end of 2026. The SSA frames this transition in terms of security and efficiency. Paper checks are 16 times more likely to be lost, stolen, altered, or returned undeliverable than electronic payments. The Department of the Treasury reports the cost of printing a single paper check has risen to $3.07, approximately 20 times more expensive than an electronic transfer. The government's case for eliminating paper checks is grounded in real numbers. But the experience for seniors who have been receiving paper checks for decades and who are being asked to transition to an electronic system they may not have a relationship with is more complicated than an efficiency calculation. There are two electronic alternatives available for every senior, regardless of whether they have a bank account. The first and most straightforward is a standard direct deposit to any checking or savings account at any bank or credit union. If you have a bank account, you can add that account's routing number and account number to your My Social Security profile at ssa.gov and your payment will be deposited automatically on your scheduled payment date each month. The second option is specifically designed for seniors who do not have a bank account and may not want to open one. It is called the Direct Express Debit MasterCard, a government-issued prepaid debit card administered through a program operated in partnership with the Department of the Treasury. Your Social Security payment is deposited onto the card automatically each month. The card can be used for purchases anywhere MasterCard is accepted, for bill payments, and for cash withdrawals at ATMs and participating retailers. You can enroll in Direct Express at godirect.gov or by calling 1-800-333-1795. There is no credit check. There is no minimum balance requirement. The card is specifically designed to function as a paper check replacement for seniors who do not have or want a traditional bank account. If you are currently receiving a paper check and have not yet received communication from the SSA about transitioning to electronic payment, do not wait for that communication to arrive before acting. Some seniors have received letters. Others are still waiting. But the transition is in progress regardless of whether the notification has reached you. Contacting the SSA proactively at 1-800-772-1213 and asking what you need to do to set up electronic payment ensures you are not in the group that discovers the paper check is stopped when the expected payment simply does not arrive on the expected date. The third change involves something that sounds straightforwardly positive, and that is, in some ways, genuinely better than what existed before. But it also created a vulnerability that seniors need to understand specifically to protect themselves in the current environment. Before 2026, when a Social Security beneficiary updated their direct deposit account information, the change took up to 30 days to take effect. Your payment went to the old account for one more cycle, then to the new account the following month. That 30-day processing window is gone. According to Saving Advice April 2026 reporting on this change, direct deposit updates now process in as little as one business day. For a senior who urgently needs to redirect their payment to a new account, because their bank failed, because they are switching institutions, because their account was compromised and they need to close it immediately, this is a real improvement. Speed matters when your monthly income is at stake. But the same one business day processing speed that helps legitimate account changes also means that an unauthorized change to your direct deposit information now takes effect almost immediately. Before this year, a scammer who somehow obtained a senior's SSA login credentials and changed the direct deposit account would have a 30-day window during which the error could be caught and reversed before any payment was affected. That window is gone. A change submitted on Monday can redirect a payment scheduled for Wednesday. The SSA addressed this vulnerability directly through the new identity verification requirements for direct deposit changes, the multi-step PIN code process described above. The idea is that even if someone obtains your SSA login credentials, they cannot change your banking information without also completing the identity verification step that requires access to your registered phone number and email address, which makes the security of the contact information in your My Social Security profile more important than it has ever been. If the phone number and email address associated with your SSA account belong to you and are currently active, the verification system works as designed. An unauthorized person who has your login password still cannot redirect your payment without access to your phone. If the phone number on file is outdated, a number you no longer use, a phone you no longer own, a number that belonged to a deceased spouse, the verification process cannot reach you. And depending on the circumstances, that could mean either that you cannot make legitimate account changes through the online system, or that the security layer intended to protect your account is not functioning as it should. Log into ssa.gov today. Go to your account settings. Verify that the phone number and email address on file are current, accurate, and belong to you. If they are not, updating them is the first step, and the most important one, in ensuring that the security protections built around the new one business day processing system actually protect your specific account. There is one more element of the current direct deposit environment that deserves attention, because it represents an active situation affecting a specific group of seniors right now, not a future risk to plan around. When the Social Security Fairness Act was signed in January 2025, it permanently repealed the windfall elimination provision and the government pension offset, two provisions that have been reducing Social Security benefits for teachers, firefighters, police officers, and other public employees for over 40 years. The SSA processed retroactive payments covering the benefit increases back to January 2024, sending lump sum payments to over 3.1 million beneficiaries totaling $17 billion by July 2025. Those payments went to the bank account currently on file with the SSA for each beneficiary. For seniors whose banking information had not been updated in years, or whose account had changed but the update had not been made with the SSA, some of those retroactive payments were deposited to accounts that were no longer active. A payment deposited to a closed account is returned to the SSA. Recovering it requires contacting the agency and providing current banking information, which now requires the new multi-step verification process. If you believe you should have received a retroactive payment under the Social Security Fairness Act and you have not received it, verify your banking information on file with the SSA first. That is almost always the explanation. And resolving it starts with making sure your current, active account information is in the system. Here is where everything lands. 3 changes to the Social Security direct deposit system, all of them already in effect, all of them changing something that most seniors had always assumed would work the way it always had. The phone option for banking changes is gone. The paper check is being phased out completely. And account changes now process in one business day instead of 30 days, which is faster, but which makes keeping your SSA account information current and secure more important than it has ever been. None of these changes were designed to harm seniors. All of them were implemented with stated goals around security, efficiency, and fraud prevention. The concern is not the intent behind the changes. It is the gap between when the changes took effect and when the people most affected by them found out. That gap is what this video is closing. Your payment is scheduled. Your account is on file. And right now, everything is either set up correctly, or it is not, and you do not know yet. Logging into ssa.gov and spending 20 minutes verifying your payment information, your contact details, and your electronic deposit setup is the only way to know which of those two situations you are in. Do it today, before the uncertainty becomes a problem.